Once I said, to live is to suffer. That is a glimpse of the truth. I, Shakyamuni or Gautama Buddha, was born as a prince in Lumbini, left behind a life of luxury and ventured into the forest to discern the nature of suffering. People ask, why is Buddhism shining once again in the world today? The answer is simple, because suffering is unending. In this modern era, where technology advances, material abundance surrounds us, and information fits in the palm of our hand, the heart remains unfulfilled. Restlessness, anxiety, comparison, anger. Their root is the unchanging craving of all times. Buddhism is a philosophy of confronting eternal questions. It is a path that clears the mind of desire and attachment. It is not faith, but training, understanding, and choice. In this video, I speak of Buddhism not merely as a religion, but as a technology of living and a path to liberation from suffering. This is a clear answer to the question of why it is being re-evaluated so significantly in modern times. What is true freedom? Is happiness an illusion? Where do the standards of good and evil lie? By the end of this video, I hope a calm reflection will dwell within your mind. One day a disciple asked me, "Master, why are people never satisfied?" I replied, because what they seek is transient. All who are born into this world cannot escape suffering. We age, fall sick, and die. We part from loved ones and associate with those we despise. We desire but do not obtain, and what we obtain, we eventually lose. I called this the 8 sufferings. However, the suffering itself is not the problem. It is how we face it that determines our path. In recent years, researchers worldwide, including in the West, have been intensely focusing on mindfulness and the concept of non-self. In response to societal issues, such as mental illness, loneliness, suicide, and addiction, Buddhism offers a transformation of interpretation. In this video, I wish to convey 3 things. First, that Buddhism is a technique to cultivate a way of life. Second, that the chaos of the modern age is a result of what Buddhism describes as ignorance and craving. Third, that anyone can walk the path to enlightenment by their own will. I speak of neither miracles nor divine revelations, yet through observation of the mind and insight into non-self, I have left behind a method to break free from the chains of suffering. Listen closely. This is not just a story from the past, it is a voiceless voice that may change your choices today. Behold, though more people are granted freedom than ever before, they suffer like never before. Humanity has reached the moon, created AI and extended lifespans, yet the mind finds no peace. Amidst the clamor of the city, the light and shadow of social media, everyone is acutely aware of others' eyes, swayed by judgments, celebrating and despairing in turn. It's as though each individual has been tossed into a battlefield, utterly exhausted. The essence of this modern chaos lies in the inability to recognize enough. Hungry for what can't be attained, terrified of losing what one has, hearts torn by comparisons with others. At its root is the obsession with the illusion of self. When asked, "What is your true self?" many might list careers, titles, follower counts, appearances, or past memories. Yet all of these are merely temporary constructs arising out of circumstance. A fixed self does not truly exist. However, modern society endows the illusory self with value, inflating it without end. The self as an influencer, as a corporate individual, as a family member. Each self constantly seeks proof, craves validation, and desires evaluation. This is precisely the state of craving running rampant. The pain of not getting what is desired, the more one seeks, the further away it feels. The Buddhist teaching of all life is suffering precisely points to this era. Are you aware? Do you sense the constant turmoil within your heart? Have you ever discerned that the root of this turmoil is desire and fear? This video aims to quietly illuminate that unseen battlefield and the path to escape it. I once lived a life of luxury as a prince of the Sakya family. But the day I stepped outside the palace and encountered old age, sickness, death, and an ascetic, everything changed. Why do people age? Why do they suffer? Why do they die? I realized that without facing these questions head-on, one cannot speak of the path of humanity. I entered the forest and practiced asceticism. I tormented myself until I was nothing but bones and skin, pushing my body to its limits. Yet there was no enlightenment in that. True liberation of the mind lies not in extreme pleasure nor in extreme suffering, but in the middle way. I realized this, meditated under the Bodhi tree, and finally awakened. This truth can be summarized into 4 noble truths. Firstly, life is full of suffering. Secondly, there is a cause for that suffering. Thirdly, if the cause is eliminated, the suffering will also be eliminated. And fourthly, there is a path to eliminate the cause. These are known as the 4 noble truths. Furthermore, I distilled this path into 8 practices: right view, right intention, right speech, right action. The noble 8-fold path. But beware, these are not doctrines to be believed. They are paths to be experienced. I am not a divine messenger. I am simply an awakened one. I taught, do not seek the light outside, carry it within yourself. Buddhism is not about waiting for salvation, but about awakening oneself. And that path, transcending time, remains open to all even now. The device through which you are currently hearing this voice, it's connected to an invisible sea of information and serves as a gateway through which countless desires flow. As your fingers scroll unknowingly, your heart strengthens its craving. You desire this and that, want to be like someone else, or be better than someone else. Yet as long as these comparisons continue, the heart will never find rest. What I have realized is that the very act of trying to control everything is the root of all suffering. This teaching directly applies to modern phenomena such as social media addiction, the fear of missing out, FOMO, and the explosion of need for approval. For instance, a young person might devour self-help books and try to emulate successful people to create the self they want to be. However, in the process of maintaining this facade, the boundaries between self and others become blurred, and they eventually lose their sense of identity. The question, who is the real me, begins to torment them. I call this phenomenon ignorance, specifically the ignorance of truth. Wandering without knowing who you are, what satisfies you, or where you should head is what I've described as blind reincarnation. But there's no need for fear. I never preached, eliminate desire. Instead I said, discern the nature of desire. Desire should not be denied but understood. Once understood, desire transforms from attachment into compassion and wisdom. Therefore, Buddhism is not a religion for modern people. It's mental training and a reset of cognition. It is the ancient wisdom of thousands of years to amend the habits of the heart. Now, let me pose a question. When you wish to become someone, is that desire truly emerging from your heart? Or are you merely trying to fit into an ideal image created by someone else? Herein lies the dilemma. Aspiring for personal growth is not wrong. However, some end up losing themselves in the relentless pursuit of self-improvement. So, what exactly is growth? Where does progress end? And where does becoming a slave to desire begin? Some say, if effort doesn't pay off, is there any point in trying? Others say, I want my efforts to be rewarded, but when they are, I feel empty. There is truth in both voices. But I once said, do not be fixated on results. Instead, be mindful of the act itself. This doesn't mean give up. It's a teaching of non-attachment. There will be days when you feel inferior to others. There will be nights when you feel you have achieved nothing. Yet there's no need to achieve anything. Simply, awareness is where it all begins. The emptiness, restlessness, and inadequacy you feel now are born from chains of desire tightly wound around the self. To be free from them, you need the courage to let go of the illusion called self. Hold on to the question. Do not seek easy answers. Just sit with it quietly and observe. That is the seed of wisdom. Humanity stands at a crossroads. AI substitutes human work. Algorithms predict emotions. And in the world of VR, even reality has become ambiguous. In such an era, some may question the relevance of ancient philosophies like Buddhism, but I say this. Buddhism is a discipline that has relentlessly questioned what it means to be human at its core. While today's technological advancements surpass human physical limitations, they simultaneously highlight the immaturity of the mind. They strengthen the ego, instantly fulfill desires, and facilitate swift comparisons with others. Yet, they also make human suffering more complex and adeptly concealed. For instance, on social media, the real self is nowhere to be found. Amid avatars, anonymity, and edited daily lives, the I becomes lost. This is a phenomenon that reverses the Buddhist understanding of anatta, non-self. In other words, by retreating into a self without substance, people attempt to distance themselves from responsibility and emotions. However, Buddhism's anatta is not an escape. It offers a perspective to see reality more deeply, to live with compassion and wisdom after discerning the provisional nature of the self. This is an ability unique to humans, beyond the mimicry of AI and machines. As I have realized, no matter how much the world changes, as long as the movements of the mind are the cause of suffering, the way to address it remains unchanged. In the future, when technology and ethics collide, the quiet wisdom of Buddhism will again shed light on the question of what it means to be human. This is not the word of a savior, but an awakening born from the silence within ourselves. The wind was blowing, the leaves of the forest were simply swaying. I sat beneath them, just sitting, seeking nothing, rejecting nothing, simply being there. In that moment, all sounds were absorbed into silence. That silence was the truth. There are realms that words cannot reach. In such places, even saying, "I speak," can be a hindrance. So, I choose to set words aside for a while. Are you feeling rushed? Are you being chased by something? If so, why not pause for a moment? Feel your breath. Your chest expands and contracts. Air enters and exits. In this cycle, there is only the now. Neither the past nor the future. Everything resides in this instant. I once learned this under a tree. From birth to death, people live in memories or expectations. However, liberation is always found only here and now. In this now, do you exist? Or are you always sending your mind elsewhere, trying to become something? Silence asks, are you here? If your answer is yes, then you have already begun walking the path. This awareness in this moment is the first step. Now, let's return to the path of reality. The teachings I left are not abstract. They are a map for action and a method for training the mind. If you wish to practice them starting today, remember these 3 key points. First, stop. Take 3 moments each day to pause and focus on your breathing. With each breath, the weight of the self eases and the mirror of the mind is polished. Second, observe. Pay attention to whether there is any attachment in your daily words and actions. Cultivate the habit of asking yourself, why do I want this? Or why am I angry about this? These questions stop the autopilot of desire and nurture wisdom. Third, give. The practice of Buddhism is not just about sitting. It involves consciously performing small acts of kindness in daily life, yielding the right of way, smiling, listening to someone. These acts gently soften the contours of the self and remind us of our connection to the world. I once taught, "He who controls himself is mightier than he who conquers others." True strength lies not in domination or achievement, but in knowing how to manage one's own mind. These 3 practices will guide you to quiet strength. It may not be flashy or glamorous, but it is a way of life that is needed in every era. Everyone has the potential to become a Buddha. Awakening is not a distant myth. It is a choice. If you choose it, the path begins from that very moment. I drop a single stone into the quiet water. The ripples spread and eventually it returns to its original tranquility. The human heart should be like that as well. If the words I have spoken so far have stirred any ripple within you, when that ripple settles, I hope what truly remains is wisdom. Buddhism is not armor. It's not a technique for fighting or a path to victory. It is simply permission to be. It's the peace of being here and now without trying to become something else. I once taught that the lotus grows from the mud. No matter how much suffering or turmoil there is, the potential to bloom a pure flower lies within. That is the Buddha nature within you. Even if it's just for this moment, pause your effort to become something. Just sit as you are. Breathe as you are. Truth lies in the place beyond words. And it is this quietness that will bestow a gentle strength on your next step. Thank you for listening so attentively for so long. My name is Shakyamuni, a person who has spoken with those striving to transcend suffering as the awakened one. If this video has served as a small catalyst for you to encounter your inner peace, there is no greater joy for me. Buddhism transcends doctrines and rituals, offering everyone a method to illuminate their own minds. This light quietly spreads again across the world, beyond time and borders. Why is Buddhism being re-evaluated now? It is because humanity has exhausted all external paths and is finally returning to the inner path. Not everything I have spoken needs to be your truth today. If even one word stays with you, I hope you revisit it often. Life constantly questions us. What are you attached to? Are you awake right now? To you, who have joined me on this journey, I offer my heartfelt gratitude. If you found this talk useful, please subscribe to this channel and listen to the voices of future thinkers as well. The world remains in chaos, which is precisely why the words of the awakened are needed. Having shared my thoughts, I will now return to silence. But for you, the journey of contemplation truly begins here. What in this video resonated most with you? Why does suffering never end? What is the self? Is happiness something to be sought and attained, or is it something to recognize and return to? There are no definite answers to these questions. However, the act of continuously questioning is itself the wisdom of living. If even the slightest change has taken root in your mind through the screen, there is nothing more for me to say. That is the proof of Buddhism. The essence of Buddhism lies not in truths given from outside, but in the insights discovered within. On this channel, voices from other eras also listen and engage in dialogue with your inquiries. If you feel inclined, please leave your own questions or insights in the comments section. While I conclude my words, may your reflection not end here. Illuminating one corner is something anyone can do, whether it be your own heart or someone else. Until we meet again, keep your light burning bright.